In life, we all encounter obstacles, and those obstacles come in all different shapes, sizes, and forms. The question is, how do we handle those obstacles? Do we attack them head on, or do we allow them to make us quit? Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast, where we aim to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up on themselves, their dreams, or their goals. We will interview successful people from all walks of life as they share their no-quit stories when they had the choice to give up or give in, but they didn't. We thank you for listening, and we hope to be that jolt of positivity as you go for your greatness. Welcome to episode number 117 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is energy. Our quote of the day comes to us from Benjamin Franklin: "Energy and persistence conquer all things." I'm glad to bring you today's episode. Our guest was actually wearing a yellow tuxedo while we were conducting this interview. As the owner of a baseball team, it would be close to impossible to miss out on Jesse Cole's passion for what he does and delivering a fun and exciting experience for both his customers as well as the fans. When it comes to delivering value, that is exactly what Jesse does. I hope you enjoy today's podcast. Jesse, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
I'm pumped to be on the show with you today, man.
Awesome, and I know you are factually wearing your yellow tux, so that definitely helps making you more pumped.
Every day I'm wearing this. It's my uniform. It's always showtime.
So the first question I ask everybody, I'm not even going to ask you because I know you're ready to bring it today, so we'll skip right to the next question, which is the number one objective of our show is to motivate and inspire our listeners to never give up. And I was curious if you have either a no-quit story or a time in your life when you could have given up or given in, but you didn't, and you kept on going.
I've had numerous, but the one that stands out, January 15th, 2016, 4:45 p.m., and I got a phone call from one of our employees. My wife and I were together. We were at my best friend's wedding, and we had overdrafted our account. We were 4 months into our new baseball franchise, the Savannah Bananas, but we weren't quite yet the Savannah Bananas. We were an unnamed baseball team, and we overdrafted our account, and we were completely out of money. We went to that wedding and, put on our smiles, drove home from New Jersey, and my wife turned to me and said, "We have no other options. We have to sell our house." We had our dream house in Charlotte, so we sold the house. We emptied out our savings account. We got this small, decrepit, falling apart, nastiest duplex you could ever imagine in Savannah. It was on the market for years. We got an airbed, and we were sleeping on an airbed, barely sleeping, trying to make ends meet. And we just went into this new franchise. We had 4 young employees, 22, 22, and 24 years old. And our job was to protect them and make them safe. And we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do it. We emptied out everything we had. And that day was a day that I think was a huge challenge for us, but changed our perspective on everything.
That's an amazing story as far as being hit head on. I have to ask you, is what was going through your mind after that? Obviously, I know what was going through your mind with the conversation you had with your wife and having to make some tough decisions. But what was it over the next day, week, month, couple months that kept you focused, kept you motivated, and kept you going?
It's funny because whenever you put yourself in those situations, and Chris, it was bad. We had cockroaches on my face in the middle of the night. Woke up with cockroaches on my face. That's how bad this house was. It was nasty. But there was no point that we were like, we're not going to make it. And here's why. We had belief. And I hate saying that word as like this big almighty word. But when you believe in something, when you believe you're doing something special, different, that's bigger than yourself, you can get through anything. And we believed that we were going to dramatically change the game of baseball. And we were going to make it all about entertainment, all about fun, and it was going to be something no one's ever seen before. Just the rest of the community didn't believe yet, but we believed. So we got through it. We didn't sleep much. Those next few days, I remember in the middle of the night, I was kind of getting out of bed and walking around, just trying to figure out what we were going to do. But we had a plan, and we believed in it. And a few months later, when we announced the Savannah Bananas, it took off, and we announced the all-you-can-eat tickets and our dancing players and the senior citizen dance team called the Bananas. And all of a sudden, we went on to sell out every single game, and now we have a wait list in the thousands for tickets. So again, it comes down to belief, and we believed in it because we knew it was something different. And that's kind of my whole thing. Find your yellow tux. What makes you different? What makes you stand out?
No, that's awesome, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I always ask that question. It's always amazing because it's not about the struggle, and it's not about that time when somebody could have given up. And don't get me wrong, those parts are important. But what I like best is what happened next, because as I say all the time, and as my guests say, it's not a question of are you going to get knocked down or are you going to get punched or kicked. The question is, what do you do after that? And you obviously took something and you've taken it to a huge level. So I commend you for that. So I wanted to ask you really quickly, if you wouldn't mind just telling our listeners a little bit about who you are.
I am the crazy guy in the yellow tuxedo. Since 2011, I've been wearing a yellow tuxedo at all of our games because we treat our games like a show, and it fits my personality. So I think a lot of people ask, who are you and what do you do? You know who I am? I'm a guy that just likes to have fun. I've always tried to be the center of the party, the life of the party, and try to just bring out the best in people. And ever since I was a kid, I was always doing that. I probably got in trouble too much. I mean, I remember I got 26 detentions when I was in 7th grade. I was that kid. But I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to put on a show. I always wanted to entertain people. And that's kind of led me to meeting my wife, who was our director of fun for our team in Gastonia, North Carolina. And we took the show and said, let's take it to the next level. So we developed a company called Fans First Entertainment, where our mission is simple: fans first, entertain always. And we've built, baseball teams who, MSNBC came down and did a feature on us. It's a circus, and then a baseball game breaks out. We focus 99% of the time on the entertainment and literally pieing people in the stands and dancing contests. And we hire theater people and improv people. And we have a breakdancing first base coach who does the moonwalk while he's giving signals during the game. And that's what we do. And it's amazing because we've built that purpose into what we do. We have so much fun every single day, and we're loving it. So that's a little snapshot of my life right now.
That is awesome. And I have to say, full and fair disclosure, you definitely have fun and you bring it every day. But I need to just touch on one thing. I must tell you, of all what you shared so far, I might be most impressed with 26 detentions in the 7th grade. That is impressive. I think my mom would hate to hear this, but that's a record that's pretty challenging. And the fact that you made it to 8th grade and then 9th grade after that is a testament to having fun. But no, all jokes aside, is I think it's so important to have fun in life, and obviously there are challenges and tough times. And when you were going through what you and your wife did, you were obviously not smiling 24/7 and hunky dory. But it's what you get hit is how you keep going. And one of the things I love is humor and comedy. And I think there's obviously times and places to be serious, but if you can have fun and love what you do and help others, then it's such a better way of then just going about your day-to-day life in that 9 to 5, and this is the grind. So I commend you for that. And
thank you.
You do it.
I think too. So I think the key to it is you got to bring that positive energy every day. And I don't want to just jump in there, but the reality is, like, that's what we realized when we were going through those challenges. Internally, my wife and I were looking at each other like, wow, this is tough. But we came into the office high-fiving everybody, because that's contagious. That's infectious. And so as a leader, you talk about being positive all the time. We kept that up because we wanted our people to see that we believed in what we're doing, even though in our bank account didn't believe as much as we did.
No, that's awesome. And I think we talked about it on your show a little bit, but it's all about the concept of karma and doing the right thing. And even though your bank account at that time didn't reflect it, it was weeks and months away where all of a sudden everything was reflecting because you were putting it out there, but you were doing it. And I think it's awesome that you say you high-five your employees because that's awesome. And I'm a big guy that always gives fist bumps to people, and it's all about just positive and having fun. And if you can't do that, then you got to kind of look in the mirror and maybe take a look at that self-accountability mirror and say, maybe I should change lanes, or maybe I should readdress this job or reassess where I want to go.
And what's the point, too? Everyone focuses so much on being professional. No one comes home from a day of work and says, you know what? I had the most professional day. I met the most professional person. I was working with the most professional company. Professional is not exciting. When you're dying, when you're on your deathbed, you're not talking about the professionalism of your life. You're talking about the fun. So every day, weird wins. We're okay with being a little nuts, a little crazy. We had a pig in the office the other day. We literally adopted a pig at our team. It's bizarre when you come to our ballpark. We have a director of fun that literally pulls pranks on our people throughout the day. I'm not saying every office should be like that. But go home. What are those stories that you're creating every day at the office? What are those stories you're creating for your employees? And what are those stories you're creating for your customers? And I tell you, make them fun, because that's what people will tell more, and that's what they'll enjoy.
No, I think that's awesome that you guys do that, and it's important. And like you said, it's not 24/7 fun and things like that. But I don't know anybody, to your point, that has said, this has been the best week ever. And you say, well, why? He said it was just professional the entire week, and Monday was professional, and Tuesday. No, it's what people say is it was great, it was exciting. I met this cool person, or this amazing company, or this new concept out there. So I definitely ask. So now I got to ask you, if you had to define yourself in only one word, what would that word be? And you can't say fun.
I want to do, actually, I think this would be a good experiment, Chris, for other people to do in their office, to have everybody in their office come up with a word for them. I think that'd be fun, because I'm actually thinking about this, because I know my staff would come up with like a bunch of words. Crazy would probably be up there, different, bizarre, but I'm going to go with hungry. And as much as I talk about fun, I'm constantly reading, just like you. I read almost 100 books a year. I'm constantly curious, and I'm asking questions. So I think people would describe me as hungry.
That's a great definition, and I think knowing you as I do, I would definitely describe it that way, because you're not referencing obviously the food component of it, but you're hungry and you're curious for more. And I think that's the difference of being satisfied or being content where you are. And it's not from a monetary perspective. It's from, do I want to improve, or do I want to learn more, or do I want to get to another level? And again, it's not always career or getting a raise or whatnot, but it's just improving yourself. And I love the word or the concept of personal development. I think self-help gets a negative spin on it, because a lot of people think it's the hokey, everybody's great. But I think if you really truly look to improve yourself, there's so many ways you can do it.
And I'll jump on that. My first 10 years in the business, I was hungry for myself. I was hungry to make more money. I was hungry to go from general manager to an owner to a partner. I was hungry for my own drive. Now it's changed dramatically, and I'm hungry to make an impact on others. And so that's what's driving me every day. And I try to teach that with our business. Our core values are very simple: caring, different, enthusiastic, fun, growing, and hungry. It's just words. And those are all a part of myself. And hungry, is one of the last ones, the last word, because that's something that I think you need to continue to move every day towards, being hungry to make an impact on others.
No, definitely. So being hungry and looking to help others every day and improve your business and personal life, how do you define success?
I've been asked this question a lot. You know what? I'm so glad, because I don't think coming up with a quick answer is right. And this has evolved over the last year or so. And I've defined it pretty simple. It's freedom and fulfillment. And it's the freedom to do what I want, when I want, with the people I want, and to be able to have happiness, joy, and purpose in everything I do. Freedom and fulfillment.
It's so interesting that you say that. The word fulfillment has been mentioned more often than not in some way, shape, or form from that question. And I think the best part about that question is nobody defines it as this dollar amount, or I want to retire at the age of 49 and have X amount of money in the bank. Now, of course, it's important, and you need to have those things to do those things. But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, when you're sitting on your deathbed, it's not going to be about, was I happy enough at this job, and was I really, really professional during my career? It's going to be my memories and my joys and the time I spent with my kids and my family and friends. And I think the word fulfillment is something that goes hand in hand with that definition. So I appreciate you sharing a little bit about that.
Yep. I think it's experiences and impact. And I actually opened my book, Find Your Yellow Tux, with my obituary. And for someone, I'm in my 30s, to write my obituary in my 30s was not the easiest thing to do. It took weeks. But that's how I opened my book, because I talk about how do you want to be remembered. And when you put it in that past tense, that perspective, it really changes everything. And you realize it's not just about you, it's about the impact you make on others. And that's been a game changer for me and our business, because I'm teaching 22, 23, 24-year-old millennials to not focus on themselves, but focus on others.
No, it's awesome. It's the impact you make on others. So one of the things we always look to do with our show is to add value to our listeners. And I was curious if you have either a morning or a daily ritual that you swear by.
We have similar ones. I love it. I think your great guest you had, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning. His perspective changed my life. A few years ago when I read the book, I start every morning on purpose. I believe most people start their morning by they look at their phone, they watch the news, they're focused on other people's craziness and lives and not on themselves. And you have to win the morning to win the day, as Hal says. So I'm very strategic. I get up, I drink water, I have a banana, which is, I guess, cannibalism to an extent, because our team name is the Savannah Bananas. But I have my water, I have a banana, and then I read. And I actually read. So I walk around the house or outside, depending on the weather, reading. And then I go for a long run while listening to a podcast. And then I write a thank you letter. And I also write in my journal. So it's I joke around the 3 R's: reading, writing, and running. Is even though writing's a W. But that's my morning every day, and it doesn't change. And by 8 o'clock, I've already won the morning. And when you win the morning, you've won the day. So I love my morning ritual.
No, that's awesome. And what Jesse didn't share is the only podcast he ever listens to is a No Quit Living podcast. So that's really great. I appreciate that, Jesse.
Definitely up there. Definitely one of the top 5, my friend. I'm not going to lie.
So if you could snap your finger and automatically fast forward 1 year from today, and there could be anything that you have accomplished, what would you want that one thing to be?
Ooh, great question. And I actually wrote about this in my journal. I wrote a letter to myself a year down the road. So on my 35th birthday, I wrote a letter to myself on what my life looks like. And a big challenge for myself is that I struggle with being obsessed with work. I know one of your favorite books is The 10 Times by Grant Cardone. And I focus so much on work. So I wrote down the next year, I want to have so much freedom in my life that literally I can spend as much time with my wife and our new baby and really be able to have that purpose every day to be family first and then others, our work, family, and everyone else second. So I picture my life having that, the ultimate freedom where you don't have to be anywhere. You can dictate your own schedule. And I'm getting pretty close to that right now.
No, that's awesome. And I think that's an awesome answer to that question, because knowing you, that's definitely not only where you're going, but you'll probably do it before a year. So I thank you for sharing that. So assuming the 20-year-old version of yourself would have listened, what is the one piece of advice you would have given to the 20-year-old Jesse?
Great book by Ryan Holiday. Ego is the enemy. I think I was so, and this helped me. I'll say this helped me in a sense. I was so focused on self-promotion. And I believe this to an extent. One of my biggest mentors is P.T. Barnum. And he said, something terrible happens without promotion. Nothing. And I believe one of the biggest things that hold people back is they don't promote themselves enough. They don't tell their story enough. I was all over the media. When I was 23 years old, I was telling anybody and everybody our story and getting them to talk about it. And it helped us tremendously as far as our perception. But fundamentally, that was probably focused too much on myself. I was focused on being, the man with the plan and being the leader and getting all the publicity. So telling myself at 20-year-old, focus, again, I know this is the theme coming through here. Focus on the value you bring to others, the impact you make on others, and everything for yourself, your job, the money, your freedom, your life will take care of itself.
No, I could not agree more. And I think when you focus from the me to the we and to others, it comes back tenfold to you.
100%. I love the me to the we, man. I'm taking that. I'm running with that.
All right. You just owe me $1 for every time you reference it.
Perfect. I'll write you a check for $1,000 now. I'll get it out of the way.
All right, awesome. So if you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, this is an easy question for me. Now, I do have 3 custom-made posters in my office of P.T. Barnum, Bill Veeck, the famous baseball owner who would do crazy things like give away 12 live lobsters to a fan during a game. He was crazy, and I loved him. But the final one, and I actually have my own wall of him, it's Walt Disney. And in my book, I talk so much about Walt. I've read all of his stories, every biography, everything about him. When I go to Disney World, I don't go on the rides. I visit like Walt's museum and all those things. So it would be Walt 100%. And actually what I would do is I'd want to play catch with Walt on Main Street in Disney World. Play catch, like a father and a son playing catch, and talk to him while we're playing catch on Main Street with the castle in the background. That's what I'd want to do.
It's so interesting that you say him, because the other two you mentioned were really involved or really part of your life based on what you're doing with your baseball team. But I think it's so amazing that people answer that question differently, because it ties them to what they want to do. And I think Walt Disney would be an amazing person because he was so ahead of his time in many ways. And I think so many people never get to fully experience while they're living all that they've done. And he is a pure example, because where Disney World and Disneyland and Disney, the company, is now, obviously Walt didn't get to fully experience it. So I think that would be an awesome dinner.
Well, what's amazing is he had such amazing vision that 50 years after he's gone, they're still carrying out. They're still one of the most successful, customer-centric, guest-focused. They are living his vision. How many companies can you say that 50 years after he's gone? And I finished almost, when I'm speaking around the country, fortunate, I finish almost every speech with all of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. And that was Walt Disney's one of his famous quotes, and goes so much with the no quit living. He pursued everything, and he almost lost everything throughout his life numerous times and mortgaged his life and his house. Walt had unbelievable vision, and he lived that no-quit living lifestyle that you talk about.
Now, I believe you had Lee Cockrell on your show too, correct?
Yes, Lee's great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I wanted to switch lanes here, if that's okay with you, to what we call our hot seat questions.
Bring it, I'm ready.
So the only requirement is you just spit out the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, let's do it. That's not good. Remember, 26 detentions in 7th grade. I yelled a lot of things on my top of my mind.
Well, that's okay. We edit post, so we might have to change some of your answers. So if you had one last meal and you could pick absolutely anything, what would you choose?
Oh, my dad's Italian festival. Chicken parm, eggplant rollatinis, lasagna, 3 cheese tortellinis with some garlic bread and olive oil and roasted red peppers. Done.
Favorite smell?
Favorite smell. All right. It's some kind of, I'm going to go, this is crazy. I would never say this. The Cinnabon smell. When you're walking through the airport, the Cinnabon. I never eat them, but it smells so good.
It's so funny you said I was at a mall maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm not a Cinnabon fan as far as eating, but I was walking by, and I kid you not, for about 20 seconds, I was just thinking about buying 4 or 5 of them just to keep them and smell them.
Yeah, I want to sit near it, smell it, and read my book and not eat it. There's some discipline right there.
Favorite sport?
This is going to be an interesting way of answering this. Baseball in 20 years.
All right, now favorite team, but you obviously cannot say your team. So second favorite team then.
Not the Savannah Bananas. I got to go. I was fortunate to be a bat boy when I was 5 years old, and I got to pitch at Fenway when I was 20 years old. So it's got to be the Boston Red Sox.
That's awesome. All-time favorite movie?
Ooh. All right. I can lose my man card and go with Love Actually, or I can go with the most recent movie, which I've been obsessed with, The Greatest Showman, which I thought just nailed the soundtrack, the dancing, the choreography. So The Greatest Showman.
There's a good friend of mine, Dana. She's obsessed with that movie, and I've not seen it yet. So we're gonna go with that one for you to save your man card.
Thank you. Thanks.
Favorite book?
It's like asking your favorite child, and I asked you this too on my show. John Gordon, Carpenter comes to mind. Peak by Chip Conley comes to mind. Everybody Matters by Bob Chapman. But I'm going to go with the new one that's changed my perception on everything, and we're going to actually implement it. The 5-Hour Workday by Stefan Artstall. It is mind-blowing on what it make you think about how to work and create that lifestyle of your dreams.
And you said new book. How recent is it?
Within the last year or two. Yeah, within the last 2 years.
Awesome. I've not read it, so I'll definitely read it. Favorite singer or band?
Biased. I was in a music video for this band when I was in college, and I actually proceeded to get suspended by the NCAA for being in the music video, so they had to take me out, but it was still my favorite band, Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, my all-time favorite. That's awesome. That is awesome. I have a picture of him and I, 2 of them actually. My cousins grew up with him, so awesome stuff.
Love it.
If you were in a foxhole and you could only have one person to have your back, who would it be?
I guess the answer people would say was like Jocko Willink or something, like one of those Navy SEALs with them. But my wife, 100%, just because of emotional, mental support, and she gives a great back rub as well. So
now, full disclosure, I don't know your wife, nor do I know Jocko. But depending on the situation, if we're being attacked by some of those people that are crazy, I might have to say Jocko over somebody's wife or spouse, just because a back rub at that time might not be what you really need. But on the flip side, obviously, you could go wrong by saying not your wife. So kudos to you for being politically correct and also keeping your marriage alive.
I was actually real. I actually, my wife is my best friend. We've been running the business together. So I'd rather have a few happy moments. If we're going to die, might as well die with your best friend.
No, true. So I wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about some of the awesome things you do. And I know not to promote your show too much, but it is one of the best podcasts out there. And I have to say, I've been fortunate to be a guest on so many shows, and yours was really, really fun, exciting, interesting. So I would love for you to just briefly tell us a little bit about that, and then maybe anything else you have going on, including some of the books you've written in the past, and anything exciting with your baseball team.
Thanks so much. So a big thing that we have is the Savannah Bananas baseball team, and it's like a circus, and we are so focused on potentially taking that on the road, potentially doing a TV series, because what we're doing with baseball is we're changing the game. It's not about baseball. It's about nonstop entertainment. We just happen to play a little bit baseball. So you can check out Savannah Bananas. We also have music videos. We do music videos with the players and old movie scenes. We have a full-time videographer, so there's a lot of fun there. And then, very excited to release Find Your Yellow Tux, How to Be Successful by Standing Out. Been very fortunate with that book, and really sharing how people can stand out in business and in life. And then finally, the podcast, which you were an amazing guest, Business Done Differently. And it's almost like a game show going in back and forth, a lot of different segments, but really get to see how people stand out with customer service and culture and the customer experience. And just having fun. I think the thing is, stop focusing on outcomes. I just focus on every day enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, and everything else takes care of itself. So, I don't have that big, huge goal, like Gary Vaynerchuk, to buy the New York Jets. I'm just enjoying it. And you know what happens when you do that? Great things happen. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share.
No, I appreciate it, and definitely would recommend to the listeners to check out your podcast and also to read your book and follow some of the cool stuff that you guys do every day. And last question I wanted to ask you is if you have any parting words you'd like to leave with our listeners.
We have a fans first playbook that we give to our whole staff, and really it's what we believe in and how we can make a difference in people's lives. And on the back of it, I said, be patient in what you want for yourself, but be impatient in how much you give to others. And when you live like that, it's amazing what happens.
That is awesome and some great advice. And for any of our listeners that would like to connect with you or follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, Jesse at findyouryellowtux.com. I love getting emails, responding to them, but I post every single day. Again, you inspire people to keep going, no quit living. Every single day I post something on LinkedIn or Facebook, Jesse Cole, the Yellow Tux Guy, 1 minute boost, videos, blogs. So check me out, reach out. I'd love to help. And I'll never forget, a few years ago, I shot an email to Mark Cuban. Within an hour, he responded. And since that day, I make sure to respond to anybody that reaches out because that made such an impact on me.
That is so awesome. I do the same thing with people, and I think that's amazing because it doesn't take a lot of time, but it can have a huge impact. And if Mark Cuban, who runs a multi-billion-dollar company industry, can do it, then there's no way that we all can't do it in some way, shape, or form.
100%.
Jesse, I truly appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to connecting with you again, and thank you so much for realizing in life it's much better to have fun than it is to make stressful and have a stressful day. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to definitely staying in touch.
Yes, and thank you so much for what you're doing to inspiring people every single day. You're doing it, my friend, and I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to episode number 117. While attending his best friend's wedding with his wife, Jesse was dealt a tough blow. Ultimately, they needed to sell their house to save their business. When presented with the give up and give in option, they chose to keep going, and they didn't quit. Jesse spoke about how important it is to start every morning on purpose. A common theme over these last 3 months continues to be concentrated on winning your morning to ultimately win your day. Jesse spoke about bringing positive energy every day, as well as the impact you can have on others. My question for you is, what energy do you bring each and every day? At work? At home? With your family? With your friends? What does energy say about your attitude? I challenge you today, even if things get touchy and difficult, and you might not seem like bringing that positive attitude and positive energy, just do it today. Even if you need to go through the motions to do it anyway. Your positive attitude, energy, and spirit just might be what someone else needs to get them through the day. If you can't muster it for yourself, today, do it for someone else and help them go for their greatness. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.